All right, hello and welcome to Soulless Minions of Orthodoxy, or Sofa Dogs, or Commentary Track Stars, or Geek Fights, or the Delta Quadrant.
Oh God, it's already falling apart.
It's already taking a turn for the worse.
All right,
This is the battle royale of commentaries.
Yes,
not the commentary for battle royale.
Right,
it's Star Trek 6.
Star
But you
Trek
know, let's start
6.
this over. This is the commentary gangbang.
All right, for Star Trek 6.
Oh shit! Hold on, I got to register that domain name real quick.
I was going Occupy Podcasts myself.
Oh God, that's good too.
The movie is Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. We are watching the Director's Edition. Most of us are anyway. Some of us are not. So,
is it actually called the Director's Edition, or is it just the Special Edition?
No, well, it's called, you're right, it's called the Special Collector's Edition. But it is the Director's Cut, so there you go.
Okay.
And I'm going to just go clockwise around the country and introduce everyone here. I am Mike of Commentary Track Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 feet north of me is Max.
I'm like 9 feet.
No.
West of you.
Okay, well, it's Max, also of Commentary Track Stars.
Can't you spit on him?
It would be pretty hard.
And yeah, we're in Chicago. And then over in the land of RoboCop, is that right? Is Mike Ortiz from Geek Fights?
That's correct. Geek Fights.
Cool.
And the Zod Complex.
And the Zod Complex, although here I think it's probably more Geek Fights since Josh has been on our show as well.
All right.
Yes, I have.
All right.
Cool. And then a little further east in New York, is that right? Is JD?
Indeed.
And he's like into like hurting himself, right? Because you do a podcast called the Delta Quadrant, in which you review every episode of Voyager.
Indeed. We enjoy Neelix for an hour every single week.
That is so Catholic.
Voyager.
Okay. Well, yeah, there were like 3 good episodes of Voyager in like season 5, but they're like in season 1 right now, right?
Okay, this is a ridiculous intro. Keep going.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, but
somebody's killing a rhinoceros.
So then down in Texas is John, right?
Yes.
Of Sofa Dogs. And he's
Correct.
like the dean of the group. He's been doing this for way longer than all of us combined, so kudos to you, I think, right? Like 5 years or some shit like that.
He just discovered that.
Yeah.
Well, that's either really awesome or really sad.
It's awesome.
I think it's awesome.
It can be 2 things, you guys.
Oh.
Don't pigeonhole him.
Aw, sad.
And then in California, right outside of where Kirk fought the Gorn, is Josh from the Soulless Minions of Orthodoxy and also the Delta Quadrant, correct?
That's correct. Hello.
When people get lost on their way to the rocks, do you give them directions?
Oh, always. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think that's everyone?
I think so. This is a very large conference call. I think this is the biggest commentary I've ever been a part of in terms of members or participants, yeah.
Okay, so now that we're halfway through the movie...
All right, let's...
We are going to get this started up.
Let's
we are
turn this mother out.
We're in the black right after the Paramount logo, so right before it says for Gene Roddenberry.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And if everyone's ready, I'm going to count down to 3 and then say start, and then we will start it up simultaneously, and I'll be in sync until we get to the first additional scene, in which case we will all be out of sync.
We got a hold order.
We got to wait for Mr. Ortiz.
All right.
Okay.
And just in case you forgot, this is Star Trek 6.
Star Trek. Okay.
The Special Collector's Edition. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to start this up in 3, 2, 1, start. For Gene Roddenberry, which is kind of a slap in the face considering the fact that he did not approve of this movie. This movie, you could say, killed him.
He didn't?
He watched it, and then he died like a week later.
Oh.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was just going to spend this whole commentary just pouring out 40s for a bunch of people that are sadly no longer with us.
All right. Well, we can start right now.
Pouring out 40s. Bone Thugs and Harmony playing in the background.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about the subtitle, The Undiscovered Country, and where that came from?
Sure. It came from
I'm pretty sure it's
Shakespeare.
mentioned in the
that's
movie.
Shakespeare.
I'm pretty sure it comes up.
And it was supposed to be the title of Star Trek II initially.
Yep, that was originally in.
They bandied it around as a title for pretty much all of them at some point.
Well, Star Trek II, Nicholas Meyer was very insistent, and
yeah,
the studio was not happy with that. So,
well, it is kind of a ponderous title.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy this piece of music by Cliff Idleman. This opening.
Yeah, the music in this movie rocks hard.
Oh yeah, the good Star Trek movies have great music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and, this is the only Star Trek film he did.
Yeah, and I mean it kind of stands apart from all the others, and in a good way. I really, really love the music in this movie. And you know, this is how you start a movie. Okay, credits.
That's right, Starfield.
Credits,
orchestral music,
and then explosion,
and then a bang.
Yeah.
Michael Dorn's name.
We literally start with a bang.
Yeah. So Mary Jo Slater, that's Christian Slater's mom.
Which would explain why he's in it.
Yes.
Yeah, he's also kind of a geek. A lot of people don't know that about him.
I heard he was actually in talks to perhaps have been in Free Enterprise, but he had a bit of trouble with the law at the time, and he was unable to make it.
It's too bad.
Trouble with the law.
So maybe we should just go around the room and see what everyone just generally thinks about this movie. So let's start. I'm going to go counterclockwise this time. Josh.
Why do you hate this movie so much?
Oh, I love Star Trek VI, Max.
Oh, you lied to me. That time.
I'll just be brief. Star Trek VI, I did see in the theater. It was one of my most memorable movie theater experiences because Star Trek V I did see in the theater, but Star Trek V wasn't very well embraced by the fans. Although I do enjoy it quite a bit. But I saw this on opening day with my dad and my two brothers, and it was chock full of Star Trek fans, and everyone was very excited, and they clapped and laughed at all the right moments. And I'm a lifelong Star Trek fan, and I'm a dork, and that's about it. So,
all right,
John. All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's like I like the, like most people, I like every other movie iteration of Star Trek. Mm-hmm. The I guess the even numbered ones.
Correct.
But I kind of. Though I had seen a lot of the original series, I really didn't get like hugely invested into Star Trek and start watching it regularly until The Next Generation, which tells you how old I am. And I like when I saw Undiscovered Country, I ended up liking it quite a bit because it's just this. It's basically this. It is a really good like murder mystery whodunit, like mixed with a courtroom drama.
It's Murder, She Wrote in space.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a little bit of like The Great Escape, and
there's also the great like sort of Cold War stuff, which was, I mean, very political. It's a fascinating movie.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
oddly enough, there's a scene where Steve McQueen jumps over a fence in this movie. It doesn't make any sense, but there you go.
that must be in the cut you guys are watching.
We'll point it out.
But I gotta say, with this opening here, like there's just a lot of things to be happy about. One, hey, Sulu's captain of his own ship, awesome. Mm-hmm. And two, that ship's kind of cool. I like the design of it. It's like a big boat.
Yeah, the Excelsior was always one of my favorite designs. And an interesting thing about the
I heard somewhere that it's a bucket of bolts.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
With Sulu being the captain, that's actually something which, for some reason, when I was in junior high, I read the Star Trek IV novelization, and in there they give a little bit of backstory, and they say, like, oh, Sulu, waiting for him at home is a command on the Excelsior. I thought that was interesting. I don't know what the origin behind that was, and I know that he had been, like, campaigning for it forever, but maybe that was at one point supposed to be an element in Star Trek IV?
There was supposed to be a line, I think, in info about that got cut.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's usually how those things break down.
So, JD.
Yes.
You must love this stuff with Sulu because it ties into Voyager, right?
Indeed it does. Yeah, in fact, they retconned Tim Russ in this movie to be Tuvok.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I love it when they retcon, though.
So what are your thoughts on the movie?
Of the TOS movies, this one's one of my favorites. I've liked it since the first time I saw it. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to seeing it until somewhere around 96 or 97, because I've been a Star Trek fan since 94. But this is definitely one of the best.
Wow, that is a terrible time to get into Star Trek.
That's right around when I got into Star Trek.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The show's about to end any day now.
Yeah.
Of course, Deep Space Nine's going. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Actually, you know what? One of my favorite things about this movie is I'm really biased, but Worf's grandfather is in it, and Worf's my favorite Star Trek character ever. So,
whoa!
But it's got a lot of Klingon action, and I'm a big fan of the Klingons. But I liked it. It's very Law and Order-ish.
In a good way, though.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
Plus, it's got Brock Peters, who's been about, he's been a few Star Trek characters. Rene Auberjonois, he's been a few Star Trek characters. And,
not in John's version.
And Red Foreman as the Federation president, that rules.
Speaking of RoboCop.
Yeah. And
there's really nothing about this movie that I don't like. It's entertaining through and through.
All right, so Mike Ortiz, what about you?
I love this movie. I actually, for a long time, I debated whether or not this was my favorite or Star Trek 2, and I've actually seen both of them in the last year. And I think this is my favorite Star Trek movie. It's got so much of what I liked about 2, but then like it's been mentioned, it has the political angle, and that to me was something that I always liked about Star Trek. So that being in this makes it more of what I love about Star Trek. Plus, it was a tight movie, and also my favorite is the theatrical version, which we are not watching here except for whoever's watching it on the Blu-ray. I don't like this one nearly as much. There's a few plot additions that I think don't work as well, and just it really was a very economic movie. It moved very fast, and it pretty much assumed that you knew what you needed to know. They knew this was the last voyage of this crew, that this was not bringing in new people, and I think they used that to their advantage because the characters are really what drive this.
All right, and Max?
There was a time, for a very long time, where I believed that this was the best of all the Star Trek films. And in the past, 6 or so years, I kind of, in watching all of them over and over again, primarily 2, 4, and 6, I watched pretty regularly. I recently, in the past few years, came to the conclusion that 2 is better, but by a fairly slim margin, and it is better primarily because it's just slightly more honed. This kind of has some additions that are a little clunky, but the rest of it is so elegantly constructed that it more than makes up for those little peculiar warts. So it's definitely amazing, but as a Star Trek person, I come down with 2.
Okay, well, I personally think that it is the best of the original series movies. 2 is my second favorite, but I think that this actually stands quite far above even that.
You're wrong. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, I think that the style and also the writing and the direction and the performances, well, basically everything, is like a cut above everything else. It was almost like they were like, okay, guys, but let's really make a movie for real this time, you know? It's like they were taking it like a bit more serious than usual. I don't know. And it just seems to have like an added production value, even though I don't think that it really does on paper.
It has a reduced production value.
Yeah, but it works extraordinarily well.
Yeah, Mr. Ortiz said economic, and that's definitely something I would apply to this. I mean, when I was much younger, I didn't notice, and I can't believe I didn't, that there's so many scenes that take place on Next Generation sets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the Star Trek film franchise until J.J. Abrams made a movie called Star Trek. They were always really cheap.
And recycled pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It still works.
And in the interest of balancing things out, I would like to add that I like J.J. Abrams' version of Star Trek.
I do too.
Me too.
That's fine. I like Snickers bars. They're both bad for you.
How about you, Mr. Ortiz?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I liked it. I enjoyed it as well. Although I think, to me, the new Star Trek is kind of in a new line of continuity. It's in a different
and that was
set
the
of
point.
clothes. Yeah. But it's a good movie, very well done. I mean, it could have been bad. I mean, we could have gotten the Phantom Menace of Star Trek, and thank God we didn't.
I loved it. I saw it 3 times in the theater, and I think I've seen it about 6 times since the DVD came out.
Well, should we talk about the premise of this film, the allegory?
Sure.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, when I first saw this, back in, was it 91 when this came out? I was probably about 10.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. That is something that we should note. If you're listening to this the day we posted, it is the 20th anniversary of this movie. Anyway, continue.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yes,
awesome.
it will be.
It's December 6th.
I didn't realize that either.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Josh.
I knew that was the thing.
Well, this
I knew that.
This came out in 91, and so it's about 10 years old, and of course heavily into Star Trek and not into the real world. So I didn't know that it was an allegory for the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Chernobyl and the fall of the Berlin Wall. But it's very obvious to me now, of course, that it's an allegory for that. The Klingons are the Russians, and Praxis is Chernobyl.
As a child of the time, like I'm sort of in the same boat with you. Like I was around the same age. I think I was like a year or two older, but I knew that it was an allegory. I knew that Praxis represented Chernobyl. I knew that the Klingons were the Russians, but the thing that seemed very strange to me is I kind of grew up with the Russians are the bad guys, but they're human. Because I'd seen so many stories where the kid gets lost in Russia and it turns out the Russians are okay, so let's not bomb them and let's not go to global war. Let's not do that. All those movies are telling me Russians are okay. They're just like us. And, so I never really empathized with the whole I'm afraid of the Russians thing. So this actually seemed kind of strange to me until I got older and I realized that people were legitimately terrified of the Russians. That is so weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm the oldest one on here, but I was in my 20s when I saw this movie. So I grew up in the Cold War, and yeah, I mean that was the Russians were the bad guys. They had supplanted Nazis, and when the Russians were gone, we had no more good bad guys.
That is just fascinating to me. I find that the social psychology of that is so interesting. We don't have that kind of thing right now, except for the Muslims.
I was going to say
they got it coming.
That thing right
yeah,
now.
it's terrible.
The weird thing about that is that I think one of the reasons why we don't really have that is because we're all sort of super sensitive. We don't want to offend anyone, so it's like the public consciousness at large won't let us have one.
Yeah.
We don't want to it's like lately what we've been doing is sort of creating an amalgamation of sort of bad guy, that's not one particular thing.
Well, there's also the general sort of political correctness extends to every formulation of bad guy to the point where you can't even have a minority bad guy anymore. And if there's a group of bad guys, they've got to represent every possibility. So I mean, like we've overcorrected to a dangerous degree. Where now, if a gay guy is in a movie, he's a good guy or a trusted friend.
Right.
He could never be a dick who screws everybody over.
And there's actually an episode of The Big Bang Theory that deals with that, where they have a character that is deaf, and they come to the realization that she's actually a bad person, and the friend who introduced her to them doesn't want to believe that. She's like, no, deaf people aren't horrible, and it's like, just because you have a disability or something does not automatically make you a saint. Anybody can be a dick.
Yeah, it's an overcorrection, and it's problematic.
What do you all think of Lieutenant Valeris, played by Kim Cattrall?
God damn, she's hot.
Yeah,
I think it's unfortunate. I mean, knowing
the only time I've ever been attracted to her.
Oh, what about Mannequin?
Not even in Sex and the City, Mike?
Oh, not at all in Sex and the City.
Seriously?
Oh my god!
Wait, are you kidding me?
Just recently, I did a commentary with Tisto on Big Trouble in Little China, in which
Girl
Kim
with the
Cattrall
green
is
eyes, right?
co-star. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like, wait a minute. So just kind of one right after the other. Like, I saw her in that, I saw her in this, and I was like, yup, I approve.
Well, no, there's no question that she was smoking hot. In Sex and the City, no. Just no. No. It's not even an age thing.
Nothing.
It's not even an age thing. Something happened to her.
I love the model work in this film. I think the special effects still hold up very, very well. It's beautiful,
especially the ones that they reused.
That's one of the things that kind of put this over the top for of Star Trek 2, because I really like the effects in this a lot more.
Me too.
Yeah, this was right around the same time, because a lot of the effects that they utilized in this film were effects that had just become a thing that year or the year prior, with things like Terminator 2.
Like the CGI blood in this.
Yeah, and doing doubles, like we had, Back to the Future 2 and stuff like that. So, they're using a lot of those techniques that were kind of big and new and exciting at the time.
Yeah, I mean, the effects get cheaper, so they always get better.
Well, they get more clever, for sure.
Well, compared to Star Trek V, these effects are light years beyond.
Yeah, Star Trek V, they had...
On paper, they're not, but...
On Star Trek V, they made the mistake of, going to the lowest bidder or something like that, and the they ended up with was rather...
Hey, it works for NASA, 90% of the time.
As I recall, I think Star Trek V, they had to go to a kind of third-rate production, production house, because ILM...
ILM had too many other things on his plate.
Yeah.
You forget, back then, there weren't... you didn't have the number of effects houses. There was a time when it was ILM, and then, everybody else was just...
guys that did car commercials.
Yeah, now there's, Weta, Digital Domain, all that stuff.
Well, now you can get film, feature film quality CGI effects.
Yeah, look at these. Look at the shot. This is really good stuff.
I think a lot of it has to do with the use of lights on models. I don't know. It's weird how well.
No, it's there's so much of it is editing.
Well, that too.
More than anything else, the editing of this movie makes the effects work. The effects are not technically significantly better than anything else, but they are edited in such a way as you believe them. I mean, 5 is just a mess. I'm sorry. It's a mess in so many ways.
But one thing that I will say about the special effects in 5 is that they do have a quality to them, which I like. It's not at all realistic. It doesn't really work, but there is some stuff that they do, with the shuttle and everything like that, where I'm I like the way it looks, even though it doesn't look good.
Don't say things like you like the thing with the shuttle in Star Trek V.
I'm just saying.
Because that's been recorded now. That's
okay.
going out there. People are going to know that you like that scene.
I'm looking at the screen here. Did you guys notice, there's when looking at Spock's face when he's addressing the Chancellor, did you note, a sort of subtle note of possible distrust. It didn't look like Spock was necessarily believing the Chancellor even. Did you guys see that in his eyes?
I really didn't see that.
I mean,
Right.
I did see it, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, after all, he and Kirk are friends.
Well, it seemed like there was a trace of doubt in his eyes about the Chancellor's sincerity.
Well,
Right.
Spock is smart.
But also,
I mean,
Nicholas
he's-
Meyer wanted the Vulcans to have emotions.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! He said it
yeah.
so many times. He was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was trying to get Leonard Nimoy to express a micro feature.
Oh,
of
Nimoy
distrust.
actually, he said that he always wanted to play Spock not as someone without emotions, but someone controlling emotions, and that's
Someone
where
who
the
was, and trying
That's
to
where the conflict
repress them and
comes
stuff.
from.
'Cause- well, I mean, isn't that the whole point about Vulcans? Like, people make the mistake of saying, like, oh, Vulcans, they don't have emotions. No, Vulcans have emotions. It's just they're all about repressing them.
Yeah.
yeah, because when they showed their emotions, they killed each other violently for years
Yeah.
and years and years.
Yeah, I think it's a common misconception.
That actually seems kind of unusual to think, because Nimoy did seem to have a problem with the portrayal of oh my god, I can't remember her. Kirstie Alley's character in Star Trek II, and her name
Savick.
Savick. That's her name. Like he had a problem with her being emotionally restrained. He wanted her to be unemotional. I mean, it's on record. I mean,
Well, she was supposed to be a half Romulan, as I recall, too.
Yeah.
True.
So, speaking of Savick, originally the intent was for Valeris to be Savick, but
Yeah.
scheduling conflicts and what have you. And also they didn't like the idea of so many, once good guys becoming bad guys, What do you
I
guys
agree with
What do you
that.
guys think about that? You agree that it wasn't a good idea, JD?
Yeah, I'm really glad they didn't go with Savick again, because it gave us a new villain, and after her being such an integral role in Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3, to bring her into Star Trek 6 and make her a complete scumbag would have been a disservice to the character, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And also, it would have been a bit much of, it's like, do you really have to keep calling back on these previous installments, and it would have been a little like playing up the nostalgia of things, and I think they do that just enough in this movie already.
But don't
I
you kind of
totally-
wish you could have seen Kirstie Alley be hot in one more movie?
Well, sure. Oh,
Come on.
I don't know. How much did she weigh in 1991?
She was gorgeous in 1990.
I totally disagree with what you guys are saying, honestly. I think that, having Savick be the villain would be a new villain, because it wasn't a villain before. And I think the idea of, a betrayal like that, from a trusted person or whatever.
Here come, look at the Shatner. Look at him. Look at the Shat.
He is awesome.
he's chewing the scene with his eyes. I love that. Sorry, Mike.
I think that would have been, really interesting, not even so much for what it meant to Savick, but for what it meant to Spock, because they try to do that here, but they're, establishing a new relationship with a new character, and, you don't have that shorthand that you would have had with Savick. And
I've
also,
actually gone back and forth on this.
Also, just one other thing, what John was saying about, there being nostalgia for the previous parts, I don't see that. I see that as, she is an established character, and you're just continuing, that thread. I don't have any problem with that at all.
But the problem is
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
skipped a chapter.
Perhaps.
There's an aspect of nostalgia, like when it's a continuum, nostalgia doesn't factor into it. But when you're bringing something back from literally 6 years earlier, 5, yeah, that's nostalgia. I mean,
Well, not just that, but bringing back Kirstie Alley when she was no longer Savick. I mean, the role had passed to someone else.
yeah, there's
And bringing Kirstie Alley back is a nod to Star Trek 2, not just a nod to Savick.
Yeah, I think
it's
Nick Meyer
complicated.
kind of created a sort of disconnect when he made this film. It seems like he wanted to skip in his mind the events of 3, 4, and 5, and this is kind of like a continuation of Star Trek 2.
He is a very smart man.
And that's what I was referring to by because they already have the whole thing with his son. They keep alluding back to that. He's got the picture and everything,
and the thing with their age and the ship getting old.
Mm-hmm. And I don't really see a problem with that because what Max was saying,
he is a very smart man.
3,
he knows what he's
4,
talking about.
and
Skip
5,
those movies.
you can pretty much just skip those movies, and it's all good.
I wouldn't recommend you skip them.
I like 4 quite a bit, but
so do I.
If I could pick and choose the Star Treks to eliminate from continuity, I would take out 4 because you've got to take it out after you take out 3.
Well, we just saw the Klingons beam away, and now we're seeing the reactions of the crew. Do any of you wonder what the Klingons did when they got back to their ship? Is it just
I have a feeling it's a similar type of thing.
Those humans smelled bad. I don't know.
First,
kind of what.
First time I saw this movie, I came in during that scene, that beam out scene.
That's so interesting. I have the exact same thought. I imagine them getting back to their ship and just going that place was really nice. Do you think that they mop their floors every day? That's amazing. Do they have a machine? That's my picture of the Klingon conversation.
And what if it at the dinner table you had all of them interacting with those napkins and stuff? What if when they get back to their ship they're just we should have those.
Yeah, that is exactly
that's a good idea.
That is the scene that I wish I had seen. I wish that was in this movie.
Or maybe a couple of them stole a few of the napkins and brought them back.
Oh, there's no question that a few of them wrapped up their broccoli in the napkin.
So this is where the movie really sort of kicks into high gear, and
this is where the in a few seconds.
Yeah, and I think that it's for me it just sort of grabs my attention every time I watch it, and I just it has me from here on out.
Yeah,
it's so well done, except for that shot.
Is this the first time in Star Trek where we see a loss of gravity in the ship?
It's quite possible. Yeah.
Well, no.
I don't know if it occurred before this in the continuity.
There was not in continuity, but in the Next Gen there was like a few seconds in one of the first season episodes.
I recall Enterprise losing gravity once.
Oh, I'm sure Enterprise did it. They did everything a few times because they didn't have original ideas; they just used existing ones.
So what do you guys think?
It's funny you say that because there's actually a sort of series of shots and a scene that sets up and pays off a gag in the editing that they reuse verbatim in an episode of Enterprise.
I don't. One of these days, everybody is going to come down on my side of this argument that Enterprise is just pure crap.
No, I enjoyed the stuff of it that I saw, but I understand that I understand why it didn't survive.
Well, I rather enjoyed Enterprise. It's a shame that it was canceled early.
So, the Klingons in this movie, I was thinking about this when I watched it the other day. They're not very much like Next Generation era Klingons, but when you think about it, they are a lot like original series Klingons.
I love that about them.
Yeah,
the brow ridges are not as pronounced. Their behavior, their attitude is a lot closer to the TOS Klingons. It's almost like it's bridging the gap between the two eras, and I love it.
That is a fantastic thing. There is this weird psychology that I think certain fans grab onto, whether like what reality are you adhering to? Are you adhering to the Next Gen reality or the original series reality? And it's there is this distinction between original series Klingons and Next Gen Klingons, and that is a distinction of chronology. It's not a distinction of reality. We have no explanation for why they look different. Of course, we do now because of stupid garbage Enterprise, but it's there. Let's just live with it.
How do you really feel?
I think that it's great. I love Enterprise. This is a character that I do who hates everything.
I thought the writers of Season 4 did a great job with that explanation of the ridges.
I think that the writers of Season 4 should be in prison.
I like the...
not for the Enterprise, but because of their ridiculous politics.
I like the Klingons in this movie, and I guess in the original series more because they're more likable. Because the Klingons in Next Generation, for the most part, excluding Worf, they're just so aggro and they're so just angry and aggressive all the time, and just kill it.
They're almost like cartoons.
Aggro really does nail it. Aggro really nails it conceptually. Yeah, they are. But I mean, like they're living in a world where everything's going great. Like they're posh. They've been spoiled. Mm-hmm. I mean, that I think is more interesting. I mean, the idea that this is like the Klingons at sort of at the end of an empire. They're sort of they've had really big power and they've been in power for a long time.
Hubris.
Yeah, but now it's kind of falling apart, and they're sort of split politically. There's the people who want to hold on to the power they have, and there are the people who are like, we've got to kind of change a bit. And ultimately, I don't think that either side won in the end. I think that a sort of a third psychology came to be after they, sort of became peaceful, where they like ritualized their previously, external violent impulses. To the point of absurdity, though.
Mm-hmm. Although in Star Trek 3, you see a lot more of that kind of Klingon than you do in this. I think in this, it's more a deliberate decision to say, hey, those bad guys aren't so bad. Mm-hmm. They are more like us. Because, I mean, even in the original series, they were villains. They were just not violent warriors. They were actually kind of slimy and weaselly, which was kind of strange.
Yeah, the slimy and weaselly thing, like the idea that like was eliminated from their culture, I think is a very good development, though. I hate now that I see that every time.
That sounds a bit more like Ferengi. Yeah.
Don't you hate now that you've seen this movie like 1,100 times that you see Spock put that patch on Kirk every goddamn time?
Yeah, it's like, how could I have missed it the first time?
Yeah, it's so freaking conspicuous. You feel like an idiot the second time you watch this movie. You're like, what is he doing with his hand?
It's still just sitting on his shoulder.
Well, my thing was I didn't notice it when he did it.
Yeah.
But later on in the movie when he says, "Oh, he put it on me before we left," like I remember that physical movement on screen
because it's peculiar.
I could totally call back on it in my brain.
It's like
I didn't notice it like when it happened.
It's like Nimoy just copped a feel on Shatner, just like out of nowhere. It was totally bizarre. And
now, does Spock just always keep one of those on him in case Kirk might get taken away to trial?
I probably had one on the bridge somewhere. Right?
Well, yeah, you never know Kirk. He's always breaking the Prime Directive and whatnot.
Maybe Spock's got like a utility belt of things. Like, okay, what's Kirk going to need now?
I'm sure Spock has a lot of random stuff around just to make sure that Kirk doesn't screw things up.
Like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon always have the those air breathers so they can swim underwater to the Gungan city.
I have no idea what you're talking about, sir.
Why did you have to...
Well, I don't know what he's saying. Do you know what he's talking about? Because I don't. Don't answer the question.
Okay, well, why do you think they did away with the Pepto-Bismol blood? They broke the continuity.
Because it looks like Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah,
sorry.
I actually just wish they would have digitally changed the blood to red in this movie.
Well, when I saw Generations, and was it Lursa or Bator when she got punched in the face by Malcolm McDowell? You see the blood is red. I'm like, wait a second, that's not the color of Klingon blood.
I think. Well, I think the record is clear on that. They forgot.
Well, I think that at least in this movie, the reason why they go out of their way to make it distinguishable from other kinds of blood is because you have the whole issue of the
anatomy
later on,
and this scene right now.
Yeah, it does, but I mean they set up a precedent here.
Yeah.
Klingons have Pepto-Bismol blood.
Was this the first time Klingon blood had been seen, though? I mean, there was no blood on Next Gen by this point?
I want to say
it had to have bled in Season 1.
I want to say it's not, actually. I want to say that there was red blood somewhere before. But, I mean, the reason why they did it, I think they've stated, is because they didn't want to risk an R rating. Look at all the blood which is flying around the scene, You make it pink.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was for censorship.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's
it kind of serves a couple of purposes.
What color would you say that is? Because I've always thought of it as purple.
It's a bit more purple.
Yeah, I've always said pink.
It's more like a lilac kind of thing.
Oh, lavender.
There you go.
That's a lavender.
Yeah, that's
puce.
definitely lavender. No, puce is like a deep red.
Is it? Well, puce is the color that Patch uses in the Santa Claus movie for his lollipops.
What
What the hell is going on?
I know
wait.
Mr. Ortiz knows what I'm talking about.
Wait, you mean the one with
Actually,
Dudley
I don't,
Moore?
do I?
I know what you're talking about.
Do you mean the one with
Well,
Dudley Moore?
Working
The
for
Dudley
Anchor
Moore
Bay, you should know.
Santa
They
Claus?
released that DVD. Santa Claus the movie.
With Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I loved that movie as a kid, and I have no memory of what happened in it.
I saw that in the
Awesome.
theater. And hated
Just
it
the fact
then.
that he was able to call on that was just like, oh my, the color of the lollipop was, and I was like, what?
The lollipops make you fly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, I loved that movie. I gotta watch that now.
So-
I'm gonna hate it.
So,
On Netflix streaming.
I'm a grown up. I'm gonna not like that film.
So JD and Josh and I were having a
Yes.
discussion along with the cool guy about the recent rumor, which lasted like literally about 5 minutes, that Benicio del Toro was going to play Khan in the new movie. And while that's not true,
Yeah.
then the question arose, well, who is he going to play? And it seems fairly. I mean, I'd say there's a more than 50% chance that it's going to be Klingons, and they've, I think, flat out said that it's going to be an established character that he's playing, and everyone's thinking like Kor or something. But when I was watching
because he's
this,
so established.
well, I mean, he's been in like 5 or 6 episodes, but
but nobody outside
okay,
of this
fine.
commentary knows
Does-
who
does
he
he
is.
need to be
I
established?
have to do this joke.
All right.
Bitches, leave.
But this is. Well, no, this part is still in it. I was going to say this is an added scene, but the end of this scene is added. So, John, be ready to be out of sync.
Yeah.
But
Well, should we even go near that right now, Max? I mean, Mike. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with this movie.
well, no. I mean, this is what I was going to bring up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
While I was watching this movie,
He brings it around.
Hey,
man.
look, he's ready to call him a dumbass, I bet. Get out of here, dumbass.
That 70s show reference.
while I was watching this movie, I was thinking like, what if it's Chang? And why couldn't it be? And wouldn't that be way better than someone like Kor? I don't know. I mean,
well,
that
look,
would be
here's the-
cool.
yeah,
I'd be totally down with that.
Look, here's the thing.
I don't know if General Chang is a large enough character in the Star Trek universe.
Does it need to be a large character? I don't think it does.
Here's the thing, Broseph.
He's not really well known, not like Khan.
They're not going to bring a character into this movie like Kor or Chang because they're not going to be limited by that. They're going to invent a character. They're going to have some sort of previously existing character.
They said it was a previously existing character.
Right. Then it's not going to be a character like that. It's not going to be so limiting.
I don't think that having either of those guys is limiting at all. But I don't know. Just something to think about. When they do announce that it is Chang, you heard it here first. I'm just saying. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so John, you are about to go out of sync. Do you see it? Oh, you are out of sync. You don't see Rene Auberjonois on the screen right now, do you? You've moved on to the next scene?
Yeah.
Okay, pause your thing.
Okay.
And
He means penis.
we will let you know when the scene is over with. But this is obviously 10 forward.
Obviously. And that's Brock Peters, who's also Ben Sisko's dad.
Yeah, and that's Odo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dude, those glasses are straight out of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Hell yeah. I love those glasses.
I love it that
I've
in this
wanted to get
future
those.
we have a presentation on paper and with a laser pointer.
Do you
Big
think?
flip
Yeah.
chart.
Do you think he got
Well,
that
back
printed
then
at
they couldn't
Kinko's?
predict, PowerPoint, so I'm glad they didn't have an overhead projector, seriously.
But here's the thing. There's got to be some aspect of security to this. This is what I do in my brain to explain why everything is the way it is. Like, they printed it on paper because that meant they could have it in a closed system and not on network computers that would possibly be hacked by outside Klingon forces. There.
Ooh.
Solved it. Boom.
But it would have been made on a computer that they could have hacked.
Right. But like, they didn't make it on a computer. They used old school graphic design technology. They had protractors, they had stencils, and
printing
X-Acto
press.
knives. Yeah, man. Like a more high-tech printing
You
press.
can barely
but a
find those
printing
now,
press.
let alone in the 23rd century.
It's the
Oh,
future. They can make whatever they want.
They
Yeah, man.
replicated.
It runs on steam and fear.
They went up there. That's the Mangler. They went up to
Well,
They went up to the replicator and said, printing press.
Okay, John, I think
Yeah.
we're back on track. Are they trying to get in touch with someone? You see who are on screen or something like that? Okay. Go,
Well, we had
go for it.
Kurtwood Smith playing the president. That's the one of only 2 times we see the presidents portrayed. One is the other being Deep Space Nine.
Hold on. We're coming to a sabotage reference.
Don't you see it in Star Trek 4 as well?
Sabotage.
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 Saboteur.
Star Trek 4. Do we see the president?
Isn't he? Aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah,
the
he's in
president,
the
guy-
building where the glass
Right.
breaks and everything.
He's like.
Well, I don't know if that's the president of the Federation.
I think they said it was right.
I think it is.
Is it?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, it's the president of the Federation.
Yeah.
Both good presidents. The one in the Deep Space Nine episode, the 2-parter. I can't remember the name offhand.
It was
Paradise Lost. I think.
Yeah, and what was the other part?
That guy was a bit of a...
I love how the secure chart, is still sitting there flipped open in the background.
Yeah, for all to see. Yeah. It's for her to see, too. Yeah.
Well, that's the declassified page. That's the page where like they put in some misinformation.
That's the page where Odo left off on.
Where you see, when you see what she is actually seeing, all she sees is him.
All she sees is his head, yeah.
Yeah,
His little
so,
floating head.
However, the rest, like Sarek and all these guys can see it.
Look at that. He starts talking before the communication ends.
Yeah.
He can hear them. Attack them now while we still can.
Well, that's why when he starts to turn his head, he goes, "Did that guy just say attack on that?"
I'm sure that he hit the mute button right before he started saying bad things about the people on the line. That's what we do when we say bad things
It's
about
just like
you guys.
Skype, yeah.
So yeah, he should call back. His head pops up. What did you
Actually,
what did
his
you
call
say?
got dropped. That's
No.
what happened.
Yeah.
Why do the Klingons have color printouts and the Federation has black and white?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Well,
Federation's
they-
a bit more.
They keep their printer fully stocked. They don't run out of color ink.
They pulled a little Red October here where they switched to English.
Yeah. I have a feeling like
You know-
a lot of this stuff is just like Christopher Plummer being like, I'm not going to speak in Klingon. Are you fucking insane?
Didn't he say that about his makeup too? He's like, I'm not wearing all that crap.
Yeah, he did say that.
This Bolton eye patch on.
That's
Which, if
that
you look
is
at the
awesome,
bolts,
though.
if you look at the bolts, they have little Klingon symbols engraved in each one of them.
I think that's what
I
they
was
use
gonna
for a
say that-
screwdriver.
I was going to say that the bald head and the bolted-on
Oh.
eye patch reminds me of
John.
what's-his-face from Battlestar.
John, pause it again. You don't see Scotty talking about torpedoes right now, do you?
He's talking to Spock.
He is? Oh, okay.
You
Yes, at the end of the
scumbag!
scene.
Then.
You got it
All right.
wrong.
It's the
you
end of the
fail
scene.
at Star Trek.
Like right here? Because it's before he says, I bet that Klingon bitch killed her father. Is Savick in the scene right now? When you get to the next scene, pause it.
Oh my
It's
god!
Savick, it's Valeris.
Whatever. Same thing.
Oh, my God.
God, she's hot.
Yeah, this is all extended.
Okay.
In my
Plow
brain.
that like a field.
It's strange how memory works because I remember seeing all of this in the theater.
tell me
but
just tell me
obviously
when.
I
Tell me-
couldn't have.
Somebody.
You're okay. You're not on. Did you get to the next scene? You're not on Spock and.
No.
Okay, then we'll let you know when it comes up. Is anyone else bothered by the fact that she has a red turtleneck but a purple strap on her uniform?
No, I'm kind of bothered by
Ruins
the
the whole
fact that
movie.
her hair is cut so like where her sideburns would be. It's like up really high.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed by her all the clothes that she's wearing. None of
Well,
them are good.
apparently you're in the minority there. I mean, you guys have heard the rumor or whatever that she was taking nude photos on the bridge and Nimoy walked in
Yeah,
and
I've
had
heard
a
that.
fit.
Holy
Yeah, that
shit,
is
really?
that
Okay,
is
John,
so
yeah.
okay.
we're
here's
on
the
the
thing.
next scene. They're coming up into the
Oh yeah,
into
that's
the
right.
little trial right now.
I can't.
John.
I always hear the Riff Tracks version here.
Okay,
Live at BootyCon.
I have heard that story about the nude pictures, and all I can think is, why was that not presented to me when I was this age, waiting for this movie? That would have made my next 10 years.
I
Yeah.
love that shot looking down at Kirk.
Okay, so you know how they rip off this whole movie in Star Trek in Enterprise?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did they manage to get the sets looking cheaper? Because, I mean, my God.
I thought the production values on Enterprise were really, really good
Me too.
for a
But
television show.
in this particular
In that instance,
it
no.
didn't work, and I think a lot of
Well,
it is
compared
because
to
of
this,
like
no, of
the
course
set
not.
extensions and stuff that they had.
Well, can we
on.
talk? Well, we're comparing TV and film, and I'm thinking about aesthetics. I mean, this is the only Star Trek film that isn't shot in 235.
Well, that's not technically true, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, all right.
Like
hold on.
To me, on this 2-disc version I have, it's like
it's
quasi.
2 to 1. I mean,
185.
You walked into this, so when you fall asleep, don't
all right.
blame
Look,
me.
all right. Here's the thing. He's going to explain what you just said is wrong, and I'm going to go register commentary, gangbang, and urinate. So I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Okay. Here's the deal. This is the only Star Trek movie to be shot in Super 35, right? All the rest were anamorphic. That's also why it's hella grainy. If you look at it, the image quality is really bad. And
really, because the Blu-ray version I'm watching looks nice.
Well, it looks okay because there's some DNR and what have you. But for home video, and this is going all the way back to the Laserdisc, they opened it up a little bit. So what we're doing is we're actually seeing more on the top and the bottom than you saw in the theater. Because that's just the way it was shot, and most of the time they don't do that. They show it exactly the way it's shot. But Nicholas Meyer was like, you know what? It's a different format. Opening it up a little bit will be less distracting than the black bars. It's not like anyone's going to see anything they're not supposed to see. Let's just do it. And of course, everyone in the home video community went apeshit about it. However, and that's why the version that John's watching is in the proper, well, not the proper ratio, but the original scope ratio, because they wanted to appease the viewers, despite the fact that Meyer did not want it that way. However, I actually have a strip of 70mm film from the original release of this movie, and it is damn near close to the framing of the DVD. And you've got some extra space on 70mm, and arguably 70mm is going to be more authentic.
Square.
Well, no, just more. I mean, like, which is going to be the version you want to see, 70mm or 35? Obviously, 70mm is going to be the preferred format.
Oh, I got it wrong.
And for that format, they made it look like this. So I'm going to say that 2 to 1, how it is on the DVD, is the proper way to watch this movie. So, sorry.
Well, then I'm just screwed all around.
Well, what's the proper place to put my fork?
So
I don't have the right aspect ratio. I don't have all the extra scenes.
I think the fact that this looks different creates a disconnect in my mind between the other films. The other films feel much more cinematic compared to this. So, although this film looks very nice, it doesn't have that scope feeling the other films have.
I can totally see what you're saying, and I think that's kind of a case of Nicholas Meyer, like, not even really acknowledging the other films or the rest of the franchise.
Well,
he was
Star
doing
Trek
his
2
own
is
thing.
He's a very smart man.
Yeah, well, whatever. They're two separate movies, like Alien and Aliens. And I don't think that he cares about that. And I mean, that may be a fault on his part, or maybe not. But
no, look,
whatever.
He didn't deny it. This movie does not, like, flagrantly say, "Hey, you know how Spock's never been dead?" That's pretty cool,
he actually
right?
says, "I've been dead before."
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't deny the existence.
And they reference
of those movies.
Kirk's son being killed.
Yeah, I mean, this movie does not.
True, yeah.
It doesn't hate on those movies. It just doesn't bring them up because that's what you do when you're making a good movie in a series that has more bad movies than good.
Mm. I mean, there's certainly precedent for it, like much more than this. I mean, if you look at Terminator, Aliens, whatever,
Well, and this is also saying a goodbye to, this entire era of Star Trek. This isn't just about the movies. This is about this crew.
Oh, sorry.
There's also an important thing here. I mean, like, no matter how much you like any of the other films, like, between 2 and 6. You've got to admit that 2 and 6 definitely bookend the series better than anything else.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
yeah.
So, like you can easily just slice the fat off and you lose one. You lose motion picture entirely, and then 3, 4, and 5 do kind of form this weird sort of mutant offspring, kind of like the newborn in Alien Resurrection, which is best thrown out of the room. Just get that out of there because it's no good and doesn't belong there at all. You might like those movies, but it doesn't fit.
I don't know. I think 2, 3, and 4 really kind of form a trilogy. I mean, 5 is where they sort of start to try and do something else, and stumble.
Yeah.
So
2, 3, and 4 all do sort of connect and comment on each other.
But as chronologically, but not tonally or conceptually. I mean, after 2, they kind of like just ejected the whole concept of the captaincy and Federation life as being a calling that has an ending, and like the idea that this is sort of the end of these guys' tenure. That's a significant thing, and it started in 2.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, ignoring that seems to be perilous and
yeah. Well, I mean,
it starts there, but I think that theme continues. I mean, the aging and the crew being kind of washed up and all that's kind of wrapped up by the end of 2 internally, and then it takes till the end of 4 for it to become sort of externalized with a brand new ship, and he's a captain again and not an admiral. So I think that I don't like 3 and 4 nearly as much either, but I think that they still hold together pretty well, and even a lot of the journey that Spock has. I mean, when he says logic isn't the beginning, isn't the end of wisdom, it's the beginning. That's a Spock that had to go through Star Trek: The Motion Picture to get to that point. That is not a Spock from the TV show.
I know what you're saying, but I mean, I can easily remove the motion picture entirely from my memory of Star Trek. I mean, and I
Me
have.
too, and I frequently do.
Yeah, I mean, it is a movie that is so eminently forgettable that
crap.
When you remember it, you kind of remember it was like a probe thing, and like there was a guy, there was a bald chick. I remember there was a bald chick, and like that's literally how people remember that movie. Because
that's not how I remember that movie.
Yeah, me neither.
I remember a movie where they're all wearing tracksuits and pajamas.
Damn right.
I think the motion
I
picture's
just
got a lot of good
big,
stuff in it.
stately, sweeping shots of the Enterprise.
Well, are me and Mr. Ortiz the only defenders of the motion picture here?
I like it. But
sounds like it.
I like it, but I can also acknowledge that if you break it down logically, it's a bad movie.
Well, I don't think it's a bad movie.
Okay, I love the idea. I love the idea. Yeah, I like it. But if you break it down logically, it's bad. Sure, if you look at it that way,
it's not.
No, you can totally like a movie that is not good.
Oh, yeah. No question.
I
like plenty of bad movies.
Well, no, I don't just mean necessarily like movies that are like bad. Like, oh man, what a piece of crap. I just mean like movies that you just like where they just got it wrong, where everything didn't come together, it didn't work, it didn't gel. Not everything was set up and paid off properly.
Well, I mean, I've actually ignored Star Trek V for a long period of my life. Like it came out, I saw it, absolutely hated it, walked away, didn't think about it for years. And in the past 4 years, I actually rewatched it for the first time, and I've come to realize that they just reached too far. Like it was a really big concept that fell
over
apart.
Ambitious, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, and it was conceptually, Star Trek V starts with Kirk saying I know I wasn't going to die because you guys were with me,
Well, I don't think you can really say they, Max. You got to say Shatner. I mean,
right?
That was his baby.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, that is a fantastically deep thing to do in the first 5 minutes of your movie. Like he said, I will die alone, and the movie is him realizing he's not going to die alone. Like that's a profound thing to do in a movie like this, where you have spaceships and space battles, and it didn't work.
But that's not a profound thing to do in Star Trek. Star Trek is mostly that type of humanity.
Well, no, I mean when it works, it is. When it doesn't, it's not that at all.
I mean, nothing. There's nothing that is going to, at its worst, reflect what it is at its best. That's why the best is the best.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, Star Trek V is not the worst of Star Trek. That's 3. Star Trek 5 is the worst executed of Star Trek.
Well, no, that's an interesting discussion. What is it about 3 that you feel is so...
Oh, my God, don't... For that, check out our Star Trek 3 commentary, because otherwise...
There's a re and then a colon, and it says Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock commentary.
I understand. Okay.
It's, the bullet point version is, it's philosophically... what would you say? It's
the Republicans' Star Trek movie.
There you go. Okay.
Maybe someone can explain this to me. A group of film reviewers called the Cinephiles on YouTube referred to this as the Octopussy of the Star Trek films. And I'm not quite sure why. I've never seen Octopussy.
I've seen it.
I've never seen that one
remember
either,
it.
so I don't understand.
By the way, the last shot transition, that was the side break on the Laserdisc.
Oh, thank God somebody
also,
called that out.
This scene, I don't know, I didn't realize this until after I had seen this movie, but it is like when the dude gets up on the little box there, it's almost word for word the same as the scene in Bridge on the River Kwai.
This is when I think the kind of production budget kind of shows. I mean, this snow looks really fake, and we're gonna get into the depths of Rura Penthe.
Dude,
it looks too much like a set to me. But
dude, I don't know about that snow being fake, because I've seen a lot of shows shot in Los Angeles, and that's the kind of snow they get there. Like, it's just a different kind of snow.
Well, I'm the only one who lives in that area,
warm
so
snow.
no, it doesn't.
Go with my joke.
I always think of during this scene, we have the warden come out, stand on his box, and give his little speech. But I always wonder, do they pick out a random guy, one of the prisoners, to throw out every time he says this? On the surface, nothing can survive. And to make my point, I'm going to make this guy freeze to death in front of you.
Yeah. I just imagine that like every day they get volunteers. Like, I mean, to be fair, you've seen it in there, man. You might want to take the shot.
You like just sort of say this area is so harsh and it's so cold that nothing can survive it, and to prove that, I'm going to toss this guy out who's basically naked. Mm-hmm. But it's like right now I live in Texas and it's winter. Even in Texas, like, it can get to 40 degrees or whatever. You take a guy who's damn near naked and put him out in 40-degree weather, he won't really survive either. Like, it's not that hard.
We have no sympathy for you. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
fuck off. You don't know what you're talking about.
40
it's like 19 degrees right now.
We're from Chicago, man.
No, hey, I'm not complaining. I like the cold weather.
Okay. Yeah, this is especially with the music, like the way that it swells. You're like, with this shot, I think it's like, oh my God, look at this amazing, and it's like this is really like these dudes are in a room. I mean, it's this. The set here is a little lacking.
Here's the thing. No. Look at the clothes that they're wearing. Look at that lighting. Nobody looks good in that place.
And the extras look like extras. They look like they don't know what to do. Even that dude with the green head.
I'm pretty sure that guy that left was from Star Wars.
Yeah,
Rito looking guy.
Yeah, that guy too.
So yeah, this is a little iffy here, and this is, I mean, if there is a weak link to this movie, I think it's the Rura Penthe stuff. I mean, I think it's fine, but
this falls into one of those Star Trek failings. Whenever they're in a cavernous area, there's always way too much light. I know there's light sources in this, but normally when they're in a cave, there's light for some reason.
But styrofoam rocks and bad makeup are just as much as Star Trek as politics.
Way good.
Shakespeare.
Very good point. Very good point.
The makeup actually got nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
In this movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And there's...
Oh, it's Iman.
Iman, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a camaloid.
I think she's kind of awesome in this movie.
She's beautiful.
She's
is. Exotic.
It's really weird. I mean, I remember seeing her in this movie and thinking, like, she's a model, right? She's
well, you can tell because
pulling it off.
Yeah.
She's like pulling it off. She's acting. Like,
yeah.
It's sort of shocking.
Other models don't fare so well. Didn't Cindy Crawford do a movie called Fair Game?
I saw that.
Yeah, so did I.
I saw that opening night, bro.
Or I may have seen one scene of it.
Yeah.
I saw the ad on the back of every single comic book that came out when that movie came out, and the ad was awesome.
Me too.
Yeah. I have had a number of experiences seeing movies where at some point early on in the movie I realized, oh god, this was a mistake.
Okay.
Game.
Did we miss that moment where Shatner took the hit of the cigar-looking thing?
Yeah, we missed it.
So I like that reaction he has. It's like, ooh, yeah, good shit.
This scene is ridiculous.
Why is there guns in the galley?
Well, there's that. That's the least ridiculous part about this. But why doesn't the security chief know that it would set off the alarm? And why does she feel the need to be a dick and actually fire a phaser in the galley?
Because she's a Vulcan.
It's much more of a show than tell.
She doesn't know that it's rude.
Okay.
She's been around human beings for a while, and she thinks that this is their idea of a joke. Because she doesn't know the line. She doesn't know what the line is.
She's trying.
Yeah.
She just doesn't understand why they're not laughing.
She thinks that was hilarious on paper, conceptually. The math works.
But this does bring up one interesting thing. Probably the best thing to come out of Star Trek V is the phasers, the Beretta-style phasers.
One of these days,
they're awesome.
I'm going to know why you think those are so cool.
Looking at this,
because they're black.
The set, with those computer gizmos in the back, I think Nick Meyer really wanted to bring this back to the submarine-esque feel of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, that is where it works best. when it feels like a high-end spa, it doesn't quite work.
But yeah, he treats this very much so like it's the Navy. He really does. I mean, in the end sequence when we're going to have everyone...
So I guess this is the under siege part of this, because we're in the kitchen. And
oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, the galley.
That's the thing that I thought was funny about the scene is that
we're gonna have a girl pop out of a cake. Yeah.
Well, just which would be fine by me.
Oh yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
But especially if it were in fact Erica Laniak. But no, it's just that this that kitchen looked.
Oh, God.
It just looked like a regular kit. Like they just had stainless steel pots and pans, and it just so
and turkeys.
You know what? That whole scene in the kitchen just reminds me so much of CSI. I mean, it's a ridiculous situation that you really want to believe, much like CSI, where, she fires the phaser at the pots and pans. It's like all those scenes where they get in a little plastic box and they start firing the gun to try and recreate the crime. Yeah, this has a very Law and Order and CSI thing going. And then this is just Fight Club. This is awesome.
I love it that they...
There's a point here where McCoy goes, "You got him, Jim. You got him where you want him." That line, he delivers it like he's gone insane. Like, it comes out really strange. I'm serious. Watch this scene, at some point soon, and just ask yourself, was he acting that he was insane?
No, it seemed pretty Bones-esque to me.
Really? Because
he did not have
problem. He did not have him where he wanted him.
Bones has money on this. He's got a gambling problem.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's as good an explanation as anything.
You know what? This dude's mask is awesome. And now that you say this thing won an Oscar for the makeup, I'm remembering why, because some of these aliens are truly unique, and we never saw them again after this.
Well, it's probably a lot of it was the Klingon stuff, right? Which...
Well, I didn't think the Klingon makeup was all that fantastic.
No, it doesn't look that good.
I agree.
Well, we never see the alien with the genitals on his knees again.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense, anatomically speaking.
Okay, dude, if you're evolving on another planet that has a lot of
honestly, it makes more
fences.
sense than where our testicles are now.
Yeah, if you have to climb over a lot of fences during your life, you might evolve testicles on your knees.
Why does it make more sense? It seems like our
especially if you don't have a lot of low furniture.
She just said genitals, not testicles.
Yeah, she did say genitals. Yeah, looking at Martia, doesn't she look a little too out of place? She looks too pretty. They should have dirtied her up a little bit, I think.
Well,
yeah, they should have.
Yeah, but she just looks too clean. I think it would have been more effective.
I like to think of it as
prisoner.
maybe she's one of those people you see in prison movies that have it a little bit nicer than everybody else because they can get things and
yeah,
get things done.
Yeah, there's that character in all the prison movies. There was
like
Morgan
Red
Freeman.
and Shawshank Redemption.
She can become attractive to anyone.
Well, yeah, but we don't know she's a shapeshifter yet.
I mean, she could just become a giant pair of boobs.
I mean, even if she can become attractive to other people, that doesn't mean that she can, when she shapeshifts, that doesn't, knock the dirt off of her, does it?
Why wouldn't it?
Oh, I guess it could. Yeah,
she can manufacture hair.
that's true, yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
When she turns into the little girl, she's dirty, though, isn't she?
Yeah. She is. Mm-hmm.
Because that's cute and adorable.
Well, she did want to appear attractive to Shatner. She does have ulterior motives.
Well,
we don't know that yet.
She dirtied herself up as a little girl because she didn't want to be too hot.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, she is very exotic looking. I mean, that's kind of a throwback. I mean, we're going to have them making out here in a moment, but that's kind of a throwback to the original series. Kirk was always kind of doing that with those exotic women.
That's true.
Yeah, he doesn't actually do it as much as people seem to want to believe. It didn't happen nearly as much as I remember it happening.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that it happened enough to where people were just like, oh, geez. And I just love that, McCoy, he even comments on it.
Yeah, he's going to... That's a good callback to it.
It happened enough to become shticky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing that we haven't talked about, which may play into, the stylistic differences in this movie from the other ones, is the lack of Harve Bennett. Which I think Harve Bennett did something which was important and needed to be done, and then I think he left it, maybe one or two movies too late,
Yeah, he made it possible to make a Star Trek movie.
Yeah,
that is fundamentally his most important contribution.
His take on Star Trek, conceptually. I'm not talking about even just the Wrath of Khan. I'm saying is his idea for what a Star Trek movie should be was immensely important to the franchise.
Well, it's important to clarify that his take on what it should be was not a take on what Star Trek should be tonally. It was a take on what it could be as in terms of production.
Yeah.
And how it could be executed, right. How it could be shot.
And then when he started coming up with ideas which were beyond that initial one, that's when he sort of fell off the rails, and
yes.
That's when it was time to get rid of him, and I'm really glad that they did, honestly.
Take that, Harve Bennett. Is he still alive?
Yes, he is, because he was a bitch.
Take that, Harve Bennett.
He was talking about how, whatever.
So does that mean if he were dead, you would go back on that remark?
No,
respect to the dead. Well, then never mind. Forget what I said.
No,
it's like, oh, he's still alive? Yeah, screw that guy.
No, I wouldn't take it back. If he was dead, I would say, take that, dead Harve Bennett.
Enter Hard Harry. Pump up the volume.
Yeah.
I still find this very, very disconcerting.
Wasn't he supposed to be in an earlier movie or something, and then something didn't work out?
I can't remember, but I remember in the theater everybody whispering to each other, "Is that Christian Slater?"
Yeah.
It is really. Yeah, well, was really weird.
What's funny is that they don't really show his face very well. He's kind of in shadow, but I recognize that voice.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Very
yeah,
clearly.
when I was in the theater, I was like, "That's the dude. That's the dude from Heathers."
Yep.
That was his name to me at the time, but that was the dude from Heathers, and there was no question in my mind that was a very famous guy because I'd seen him in a lot of stuff.
So, what do you guys think about them making Chekhov a security chief?
They've got to do something with him.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, they didn't promote Uhura.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there's not a lot of upward momentum being a secretary. It's pretty much you're locked in that position, and that is her job. Let's be fair.
Yeah, well, this is his only little moment in the movie.
I thought she was more of an operator than a secretary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, she takes calls, she holds them, she tells him who's calling, and then she patches him through.
She's saying something
too. He gets his own damn coffee.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose.
She has a very odd singing sequence in Charlie X as well.
Yeah. This is a nice montage. I think the camera work is interesting. It's actually a very original series.
It's also very TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's so TV. It this comes out of nowhere. When I was watching this scene, I was like, man, they could make Next Generation like this. They could easily make a Next Generation episode like this.
Yeah, but I don't think Rick Berman would have approved of all the crazy.
I always thought they were doing a poor job of searching these drawers. They're just opening and closing.
Putting the camera up there and above the doodads and stuff.
You just see things just laying on top. Nice.
Don't they have scanners?
Yeah. I mean, that guy had a metal detector.
Yeah. But, I mean, what are they looking for? Magnetic boots? How easily are those detected?
I guess that depends on how good the scanners are.
Well, I mean, you could easily nullify the magnetic field. It doesn't matter. Fucking science. It's the same thing with sound waves. You can nullify sound waves. You can nullify a magnetic field.
He's dirty here.
Yes, true.
There's a lot of things here.
He or she, I mean, it's, shapeshifter. Crewman Dax. No relation to the Dax of Deep Space Nine?
No.
No, it's a common name. It's like Smith in space.
Yeah.
I think it's a little goofy that none of them seem to notice yet that his feet aren't normal.
See, is it just me, or whenever he drops that boot, I get the impression that it lands on the dude's foot and that it would hurt.
Yeah.
You know?
He doesn't react to it, yeah.
Chekhov's a dick.
And why don't they just make funky shoes for that guy? Why does he have to walk around in his bare feet?
Okay.
Well, Tinker Hatfield's been dead for about 200 years, so I stole your joke, Mike. Fuck you.
Thank you. I love the fact that you know that guy's name.
You son of a bitch! I'll kill you in your sleep.
So that shot there at the end of that scene with Savick, I think that it is really interesting because it works. You know, first time you watch it, it's just like a wah wah kind of moment, but then on second viewing, it's like, damn, she's realizing that she fucked up. You know, not that it's not.
Oh crap! I can't pin this on this guy.
Right? Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, retroactively, yeah, it is because we know she's involved in the conspiracy. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, Savick never would have made that mistake.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, she would have nailed that guy. She would have actually surgically changed his feet.
Since no one else is talking right now, I'm going to just bring up this little fact. This is unofficially, but technically, the first movie to have Dolby Digital sound.
Wow.
Wait.
I did not know that.
Wait, no.
Yes.
Wait, did you say officially?
Unofficially.
Unofficially.
But technically.
Officially,
the first movie is Batman Returns, but they did a few movies where they tested them out at like advertised at theaters just to see whether or not it worked.
Yeah.
And this was the first movie that they tested out.
You know what I hate?
Yeah, that makes sense because they want it. It's like they're not going to get behind it until they know it works.
Right. Yeah.
I really hate how many facts like that I know.
Well, here's another one. Star Trek 4 was the first with Dolby SR, unofficially, but officially
I love
it was
that transition shot of because we saw the really nice morphing effect, and then it just goes behind that
it's
piece
old
of rock
school.
or whatever, and it's little girl and then big monster.
Isn't that called a Texas switch? I believe it is.
Sure.
There's a
that
Texan
sounds very
here.
dirty.
There's a Texan here. I mean, he'll know.
I just live in Texas. I'm actually from California.
Well, you should really keep up on the terminology. I mean, if you're if you're representing Texas,
I'm not representing a damn thing.
Oh, damn!
I love this guy. Someone was like, oh, I bet the thing is here somewhere.
Oh my god! It just
Where's
got
McCready?
purple. Yeah.
Well, this is now they're actually in a real location.
Yeah, we get some nice shots.
Well,
here.
hold on. There are some guys in a real location.
Yeah, they aren't.
They are not on a real location.
Out to the,
I love how
the
easily
glacier.
you're able to point that out, Max. So, we have some other guys.
It's funny because back on the ship at this point, everybody is wearing a red shirt.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I mean, you got to do something to make it harder to detect.
Well, this is in Antarctica, or is it Alaska? I can't remember.
This is Alaska.
It's Alaska, okay.
Wasn't it a glacier that they were on?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I remember them talking
There's
about
snow on the lens
during the 25th anniversary coverage, because this was You know, I haven't mentioned this yet. I mean, this is the height, almost at the height of Star Trek's popularity, I suppose. Between 91 and 94, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was definitely...
Star Trek was at its zenith. And I always wonder, where are they going? What are they going to do when they get to that cliff? But anyway.
It's a meeting point. They're waiting to be picked up.
No, they just stop. What are they going to do now? Why did they walk all the way down there?
They're going into their bag to get the hook so that they can rappel down. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm being reasonable.
Stop it.
One other thing with this set. Now, obviously, this is the same set from briefly Star Trek 4 and then also Star Trek 5, but it looks so much better, and I think a lot of that has to do with the lighting.
Oh, no, it is the lighting.
Okay. All of it has to do with the lighting?
It's like 90% the lighting, and a little tiny sliver of it is the aspect ratio.
And a little bit of extra set decoration, probably, but...
and also the uniforms don't hurt.
The lighting in this movie is really good.
It's all right.
It's pretty damn good.
It's all right.
We finally had the reference to the Viridian patch.
Yeah.
The patch that the Klingons apparently didn't bother to find.
Yeah, ever. Yeah, that's a little weird. You think you think maybe he would like stick it in his boot or something.
Well, it's Viridian. They don't have those syllables in their language, or something. Who cares? Obviously Spock knows what he's doing.
Oh, and I love this cut here. Okay, yeah, where it cuts to the thing. Now, this scene doesn't work, and actually I don't think it's in the movie. Are you, John, are you watching a drunk Klingon talk to people in...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always been in there.
I guess I was just hoping that they had cut it out.
Why would you hope? Why?
Because this scene is dumb. And also, there's this terrible ADR line where he's like, we can't use the universal translator.
It would be recognized.
Yeah, and you notice how you never see his face at all.
Do any of you think this is a little too easy for them to get across the Klingon border?
No, I think that if they don't
did
draw
you ever see this movie,
it,
Gotcha, where this dude went over
but I
into East
love
Berlin?
that
movie. See, they were specifically looking for
that
the
movie's
drunk
good.
These guys kind of remind me of the two guys from Stripes who were guarding the Czechoslovakian border.
Dude, that's just how it was. It was that easy to get into communist territories. All you had to do was find an outpost manned by a drunk dude.
And there's a lot of those. The Klingons love the blood wine.
No kidding, man. It's mostly blood.
Was blood wine?
It's like
was it in the Star Trek vocabulary yet at this point?
Probably. I mean, this is season 5 of Next Generation, so it had to be by that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I want to know
Unless you're
what
Worf, and then he drinks prune juice.
I mean,
it's a warrior's drink after all.
God Almighty! Oh my God! We're such nerds.
I think I'm a bigger nerd.
I'm not saying anything. if you'll notice,
I am a giant nerd, and that's okay with me.
It is better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
That's very good.
If you want to listen to me embarrass myself, just listen to our Gattaca commentary or our Bring It On commentary. But that's just me.
Hey, I enjoyed the Bring It On commentary track.
Well, thank you, JD.
Thank you.
Do any of you find that joke doesn't hold up? The joke with the language translation in the books.
Yes, it totally doesn't hold up.
Well, Nick Meyer has an affinity for books, but the fact that nobody would.
The books are not the problem in that scene.
It's the fact that they don't know the language.
It's the fact that they're trying to be all funny.
I don't like the fact that Uhura doesn't know the language.
I was going to say, she's a communications officer.
That bugs me.
She should already know that stuff. And why did they even have to crack open actual books in the first place? Shouldn't they have it on their computer or something? Just it's like, okay, don't use the universal translator for whatever reason because they'll get found out. But you should at least have I don't know, Google that shit. I don't. It just.
Are you telling me that Babelfish doesn't still exist in the 23rd century? That's crap.
This is awesome. Everybody thinks that it's a bad scene, but nobody has the same opinion on why.
I guess that's saying something about it. Right?
I think Mike's problem is the scene's existence, the motivation for it is very clearly like a craven attempt to get some humor into the movie, which could easily be excised and make it more elegant.
And here's the second part of that. It's not funny.
Okay, here's the fucking thing.
No, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. Stupid.
The subtitles are funny.
Oh, and here's where they
We
roll.
is condemning food?
Well, that's
Come on,
fine.
it's like a YouTube comment.
If you watch closely in this scene, they roll.
And I has cheeseburger.
They roll
The internet.
across Mccoy in the wrong direction here. It's all
They crossed the 180 line.
Yeah, no, they roll.
They killed the
across
wrong
him.
Kirk.
They start rolling across him vertically, and then they end up rolling across him horizontally when they cut to the close-up. So,
Well, he wanted to, avoid them rolling over his junk.
well, see here, watch here.
He's really just lying way out there, just like legs and arms splayed. He's making a snow angel out there.
I like Shatner's performance as
the
as the double. I just think he plays it up just a little, like it's not quite
Well, it's not
Kirk.
It's not Kirk. It's just Shatner.
William Shatner is the best actor of all time. We all know this.
Keep holding to that running gag, Mike.
It's not a gag. It's
Nobody-
for
Ruth just watched Free Enterprise.
Nobody's
There you go.
calling you on it. He's pointing too high.
Do you guys remember this moment from the trailer? Where it was an alternate take of him being vaporized?
I didn't
Yes.
see
Yeah,
that.
I remember that.
I remember being scared as hell as a kid. I'm like, holy shit, they
They're
killed
gonna kill
Captain
Captain
Kirk.
Kirk.
And now that I mentioned the trailer, thank God I forgot. But this movie had the best teaser trailer ever.
That was awesome.
That was
Oh,
the
yeah, I
fucking
remember that.
awesome teaser
Yeah.
trailer where they didn't even show anything in the movie. It was clips from the old show
No, it was
Okay.
just projection on the Enterprise.
on the Enterprise. Yeah. Oh man, that's fucking awesome.
This is freaking hilarious.
Where he
Oh,
says
couldn't you have waited just 2 seconds?
He says you
Yeah.
want to go back. Yeah.
That's hilarious. That is really good.
And this is where that shot.
They recently
John,
ripped
pause
that
it
off
for
on
a shot.
Supernatural, by the
Okay,
way.
now you can start it up again. John, you're probably going to be off by a second or two because they added an establishing shot to this scene. Right
Again, with the paper blueprints. Seriously.
Hey, do you guys remember
Computer.
that they actually sold blueprints of the bridge of the Enterprise from this movie?
I have those.
Oh, I remember.
I had one.
I had blueprints.
like a poster. It was awesome. And
I remember it. I haven't seen the movie yet, but my friend that got me into Star Trek, he had a set of those blueprints in his bedroom. And in fact, one day I looked at him and I said, "Dude, you're a nerd." 2 years later, so was I.
my God.
I did think it was a little. I did think it was a little convenient. The way he discovered the
uniforms here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, shouldn't they pushed it back a little bit? I mean, it is a kind of an obvious place to put something.
Well, I mean, my problem is that, there's like 7 dudes on that ship whose names we know, and 10,000 rooms. You'd think that it would have been one of the random other people who was like, hey, you hear that rattle?
well, that's not even nearly as bad. I mean, once you get to the end and you've got like Uhura, beaming down with the away team to stop the assassins from killing the president, and it's like, really, you're not just going to have a bunch of security off? I mean, the only people who should be down there are like Kirk, Spock, Chekhov, and a bunch of security guards. What's Scotty doing shooting the assassin? What's
Well,
Uhura
you've got
doing
to
in
have
that scene?
McCoy there in case they don't get there in time.
Well,
I thought it was awesome that Scotty got to kill him.
So
Yeah,
do
they all,
I.
they all know this is their last mission, so they want a piece of the action.
I guess
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah, quote unquote, a piece of the action.
God, I forgot about that episode.
Phaser unstun at close range.
That's a fun fact. Did you know that worked that way? Because I'm
I
pretty sure
didn't.
that
I
they've
don't
shot a
know.
lot of people at point blank range with faders, phasers on stun. But I mean, whatever you're gonna do.
Let's look how submarine-esque this is.
Not those
with
Beretta
the-
phasers.
That's true. They
They shot
upgraded
them.
them to be fatal at close range.
But they did shoot these dudes in the head.
But Why
so
didn't that set off the sensors that go off
it
when
was
you
on,
shoot something?
it's only when they
Because-
vaporize.
yeah, it does.
They,
it does
yeah,
at
they
the time.
just had that exchange.
But I mean, why? No,
Right
actually,
here. I wonder why they weren't vaporized.
Yeah.
Because it would set off the alarm.
John,
Why
you're
would
a
that
few-
set off the alarm and not stun? Why?
Yeah.
Isn't it the same technology?
John,
Well, haven't we seen phasers being fired on ships before? And I've never
Oh,
heard an alarm go
plenty
off.
of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John,
well-
just so you know, you are a few seconds ahead of us because they added a shot a couple scenes
Oh,
ago. so
okay. See, nobody
Oh,
actually
back to the
cares.
kitchen.
I'm just saying.
I love it. There's 3, and the top is a woman.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah. We talked about this off off commentary before, but
well, those are some sweet uniforms.
the plates there,
Did that dude's
they had
mustache?
like
That was a sweet
false
mustache.
craft to the China or whatever, and I do have an NCC 1701A coffee mug, which I'm drinking tea Earl Grey hot out of.
But it's
right now.
not a teacup.
It's not.
At this very moment?
Yes, at this very moment. It's
That's
actually the only
That's the
one that
type
I
of
ever
person
use.
he is.
That's the type of person
That's why
I
he's
am.
going to hell.
Yes,
They did make a bunch of these blankets, apparently.
they did. And I
Nicholas
want
Meyer was
one.
talking about that.
Oh, I'd
Yeah.
like one of these. That'd be nice.
I want
Me
one of
too.
those blankets.
Don't they look too small though? Like
The-
I wouldn't be able to like fully burrito myself in one of those.
The editing in the scene bothers me because the two close-ups of her are almost identical. She does that thing with her face where she tilts
she
her
tilts
head
up. Oh,
and
okay.
opens her mouth slightly.
Oh, does
Bothers
she
me
look a little
lot.
bit too much like her mannequin self from Mannequin?
God, she was
That's,
not in that
that's
movie,
not
too.
what bothers me about it, but yeah.
Mannequin is a great movie. Sort
It's,
of.
okay. Mannequin is a movie that I liked as a child. That is the end of my statement about Mannequin.
Nimoy's performance in this scene, I think, is really cool because it's like
Knocks it out of her
Spock,
hand.
like losing control. He's fed up, you know.
He didn't lose control.
Well,
This
he's
is
not-
tough
he's
love.
not-
This
he's-
is logical.
He's losing control on Spock level, you know.
No, he's lost control of her.
So, well, he's pissed,
Yes.
you know, and he's letting that show.
But you can be pissed because somebody has failed.
I'm just saying, that's losing control for Spock.
Don't
Yeah.
you think their collars look a little bit too much like coffee filters?
No, I love the
I do
uniforms
now.
here.
No, you know what?
That's all
I gotta
they ever
say.
see.
These are my favorite Starfleet uniforms in
I
all
agree.
iterations of Trek. I
Yeah.
love these uniforms.
Oh, you didn't like them in the motion picture? I'm kidding.
No, they look like tracksuits, pajamas, and hand-me-downs.
The
They're
motion picture is by far the worst representation of Star Trek visually. Like, I mean, the original
Agreed.
series, Technicolor gaudiness is one thing, but they actually did the worst possible thing and dressed them up like it was an episode of The Twilight Zone set in the distant future.
Well, I
Like-
loved how in Generations they couldn't decide which uniform to wear. Do you guys remember that? They had like
Yeah.
half DS9, half Next Generation. I'm like,
Well,
why?
no,
Why
there,
couldn't you decide on which one?
there is a reason for that. They had designed all new ones for them. That's actually, if you look at the action figures for that movie, they're wearing
Yeah, they're completely different on the
different.
figures.
and
and then they
the
ended up going
actors,
with the...
yeah, the actors hated them passionately.
Well, you know,
So they-
Yeah, so they ended up changing them completely.
They tried-
which I think is a good thing.
They tried
but you
using
know what?
the-
There's also a precedent for that because a couple of years ago, let's see, I got out of the Army 8 years ago, but just after I got out is when the Army was switching the uniforms from the BDUs to the digital camo ACUs, and for a long time, I saw personnel around town. Some of them were wearing the ACUs, and some of them were still wearing the BDUs, and it took like 2 years for the Army to integrate, to fully switch over to the new uniforms. So it actually kind of makes sense that some of the Enterprise crew would have been wearing the TNG uniforms, and some would have been wearing the DS9.
Yeah, it also seems ridiculous that like the Federation High Command or a federal government would like dictate some sort of like formal order that everyone needs to change into the new uniforms. Like it would happen naturally. This is stupid.
So, here we
This
are.
is stupid.
the most noticeable difference.
Now-
yeah, why did they do it? It breaks up the scene.
Yes, it does.
See, the thing is, like, doing this, the way that they did it is what's wrong. Like, I can see the need to do this because you don't really know who they're talking about unless you've seen this.
I
Well,
do.
of course
No,
you
dude.
do, okay? I mean, yeah,
Okay,
we do.
Okay,
but
wait, hold on. Wait, hold on, Max. Mike, sorry. There's a moment here coming up. I have to address this. If I don't, I'll feel bad. Where they're gonna have a shot from the back, looking up at Spock over her shoulder, and it looks to me as if her head is about to explode because he's melding her so hard.
Hell yeah, he is. He's
like-
getting all up in that.
He's going to put his hand, he's going to put his other hand on her face, and she's going to start to moan. And from the back of her head, I thought in the theater as a kid, I was like, holy shit, her head's about to explode. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Wait, right here. Right there. Boom! Kaboom!
Oh,
it does look a little fake.
it looks like Spock's about to come. Look, my
God, this scene is
God.
really awful, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's the editing in the director's cut is ridiculous, and they could have easily fixed it. Like, just don't change the sound at all. Just have it be like, flash cuts.
No,
almost.
don't do it at all. Here's the worst thing, though. The worst thing, like, okay, all right. There's a lot of things wrong with that. All right, the primary thing is, all right, Chang, I could see doing a flash of, because that's like, it's like, oh man, he's really close. If he's if he's one of the bad guys, we're kind of screwed. And then there's the Romulan Ambassador. Okay, you just described his role. You just described his job.
So
showing me a picture of him does no good at all. He's the dude from that scene.
For consistency's sake.
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't ever say, he's the head of that council who you saw earlier. Really matter.
Perhaps you're right. I don't know. I mean, obviously he was trying to fix something that he saw as a problem. And he just fixed it having the little clang of music and having the weird, no, you just do a straight cut, man. You do it like Soderbergh style, you do it Limey style.
It's bad. It's a bad scene. It was supposed to be tense, and it wasn't. It was terrible.
You don't cut in flashes of the people's faces, because if you don't know who they are, seeing a flash of their face makes you feel stupid. But there. How about that?
I mean, I'd be okay with it. I don't know. If they didn't do anything to the sound, I would have been okay with it.
I mean, you met these people less than 2 hours ago. You've already forgotten their names. Well, how bad is that?
That's standard. I mean, that's standard. Especially
Well, I mean, honestly, I know I forgot their names by that point, but it's not really that necessary. You pretty much... Chang.
Mm-hmm. Chang's the name you need to know.
That's the important one.
Yeah, everything else is kind of
irrelevant. The Romulan Ambassador, who fucking cares?
He's Romulan. Yeah, they're scum to begin with.
Who's the other guy? The black guy?
Admiral Cartwright.
Cartwright.
Okay, yeah. That's my only problem with this movie is he has such a hard on for it was like he's at the beginning he's just like, kill the Klingons. We should take them down. That I was like, oh yeah, he's evil.
Yeah. When she said Cartwright, I mean, like Shatner going like, well, that I can see. Yeah, that would have been a good little moment, or to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Shatner was saying the same thing, or Kirk was saying the same thing.
Well, yeah.
Oh my God, that's an Earth fire extinguisher on that back wall.
Yeah.
Just noticed. In 300 years, fire extinguishers will still look exactly like they do now. That's awesome.
But that doesn't just put out fires. It also puts out teen pregnancy.
I think that was a Nicholas Meyer touch.
You don't want to know how.
No, you do not. It's permanent.
He's constantly adding little touches from the 20th century in order to ground it in a reality, which honestly Star Trek is often lacking.
I kind of get that, but the fire extinguisher bugs me, and I've never noticed it until now. The
idea that it's a fire extinguisher is one thing. Having like a red rectangle that says fire, that's fine. That means I understand that. That's a fire alarm / extinguisher, some sort of fire suppression device. But an aluminum fire extinguisher is a little bit weird.
Much, yeah.
I mean, for one thing, because when this movie came out, it was already kind of outdated.
Yep, back with the Bill and Ted glasses. And you know what he's about to say here? Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes!
I love that movie.
You're actually not far from the from the truth there. That's kind of what the point of that whole...
Well, yeah. He is saying nonsense that is sort of generally unifying nonsense.
Peace.
It's awesome.
I'm here for peace.
Have you guys thought about politics and how peace is important? And how trade is a significant factor? Meaningless chatter that doesn't distract the attention.
This is a cool shot.
Is it?
Yeah. I think, having, Spock, do the little countdown thing and sort of, the pan where you get to see the tension in the crew. I think that works relatively well.
Yeah.
The editing in this sequence, I think, is rather tight.
You think
what planet are they on right now?
I'm not sure.
This is Kittimer.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Well, Kittimer is of what affiliation? Is it?
I think it's contested technically because there
is it? I was about to say, is it like the Switzerland of?
Yeah,
they
think
did
it's
say a
just
neutral.
like Switzerland.
Yeah, they said a neutral location. So.
Right.
I didn't realize
they make watches on Kettimer.
and
God,
really
really
fancy
good
knives.
These always bug me too.
Yeah.
The
I
colors.
love this how everyone's just standing around sweating
Yeah.
because they're nervous.
I've always that's interesting because I've always imagined that's really hot down there.
It probably is, and those costumes.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Aren't
I'm sure.
helping. You know.
I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be
it's funny
miserable.
I think it's funny no one calls attention to the fact that Cartwright is really sweating like crazy. Is he okay? What is?
Well, who knows how hot that planet is?
Yeah,
She's
he
like,
is-
there's-
he is
Jane's
sweating
a great-
profusely.
Jane's a truly great character, but God, I always forget just how good Christopher Plummer is in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
awesome.
the character,
Yeah.
and his performance is just.
Although
stellar.
I did watching this today, I did chuckle when he starts spinning in his chair quoting Shakespeare. I was like, really?
Do you guys think the Shakespeare's a little too heavy in this movie?
No, I don't. But then
No,
I'm
not
really
at all.
biased because I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare. So.
There's
Well, I mean,
I'm
the
a fan,
title
but
is Shakespeare quotes, so.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a fan, but I do think that they
All right, maybe they went a little
oversaturated
with it.
But that's sort of the,
Yeah,
that's sort of
I-
the interesting thing. Like that's sort of like in a way I think that's fundamental to the movie. It's not like Shakespeare's a reference that they keep going back to. Shakespeare's almost a framing device. Like it doesn't function in the way like a movie the characters saw works. It functions like a character flashing back to the events of a story. It's the
Yeah,
it's
no,
the,
I-
it's the
I get
present
all
day
that.
sequences in Saving Private Ryan more than anything.
and that's all well and good. I'm just saying,
Oh wow, he is sweating.
a little goes a long way.
Do you think his gun is made of plastic, like John Malkovich's gun in The Line of Fire? That's why it wasn't detected when he went in.
I think you're thinking of ceramic.
Maybe it was made of iridium.
It was a ceramic gun.
Is there a reason given, or is it just been hypothesized why the Klingon ships cannot fire while cloaked?
I think it's
Oh
it's an
God
element of
Almighty, Christ on
convenience.
toast!
But I bet you there's a
you want to
technical
bust out
manual
the
which will
technical
explain
manual. We can get
exactly
real up in
why.
this, but I am not willing to do that, bro.
Go to memoryalpha.org. If they don't know, no one will.
Hey, I'm just trying to stimulate some conversation. I'm
like
sorry.
I have been in that debate, and I can't go back to that anymore, or I'll have to forfeit my sexual experience.
So
I will actually become a virgin again. That's how it works.
So here's a question: why is McCoy helping Spock with this?
Because he's
'Cause he
going to
says
be
surgery.
he's going to be cutting open a thing and moving things around in it, and that's
I
what
love
doctors
that
do,
shot
you
goes
guys.
Down into the engine.
Yeah, I think you're ahead of us still.
Oh, duh.
Oh God, I know what you're talking about. That is such a good
course
shot.
I am.
Play
We'll
along.
tell you when we get there.
Well, is it too much of a real world reference again? I mean,
Here we
we're,
are. We're
we
at
have
that
the
shot
whole,
right now.
we have the whole allegory of the Cold War, and then we have here with the assassin,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like Oswald, and Kirk has that reference where he says, "First rule of assassination: kill the assassins." Oswald was assassinated.
But to be fair, that's sort of universal. There's
Yeah,
like 6 assassinations in like our lifetimes, and that's basically how it goes down.
And I mean,
Well,
like
this is-
even
this
And you want to
like-
talk Shakespeare? That's
Yeah.
going back to that too.
Well, it seems very like book depository.
No, there's no
even
question.
Like, I mean, hey,
But
like to
Oswald
me,
wasn't wearing a Klingon mask.
Or
No, he
we know
wasn't.
of.
He was wearing a communist mask
Some people
that
say.
somebody else made for him. Because look, let's not go there.
but I mean, like even like just compare
cracked it
this.
open.
behind the grassy knoll.
I mean, you
The
could.
guy on the grassy knoll was a Klingon.
It's the umbrella guy. Everybody knows it's the umbrella guy.
What is this? The scene that's the scene in this movie? I would say has even more similarity to the Manchurian Candidate than the Kennedy assassination. And that was before the Kennedy assassination, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a
No, it's not
a one-time thing.
Yeah, like the assassination logic present in the Kennedy assassination is not conspicuous to that assassination, which is why it is conspicuous. Like the Kennedy assassination seems suspicious because it fits the model of a political assassination so well.
Not to change the subject, but I think watching the special effects in this scene, I think another reason why they work so much better than in most of the Star Trek movies is because of just the simple shot selection, you know? I mean,
I said it before.
Nicholas Meyer is
man.
like Khan. He's thinking three-dimensionally.
It's editing.
Well, not just editing, but shot select. Like
Nicholas Meyer.
Composition.
Where you're
Khan
where you're putting the camera.
Nicholas Meyer
I
is
love the model
unlike
work in this.
Khan.
The battle damage to the ships. It's great.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
They blow a huge hole into the Enterprise, and it doesn't seem to faze them one bit.
Well,
They shake a little bit, like,
yeah.
well, let's keep making our bomb.
the torpedo that goes through the ship, that is just a beautiful shot. And it never
Yeah.
happens again, but it is so cool. And in the new
And
J.J. Abrams movie, like the ships get hit by 10,000 torpedoes and a million phaser hits.
And it's awesome.
No,
this
it's
is, here
not.
comes an egregious moment.
Oh,
To see this again, watch Star Trek
I've
Generations.
seen
Yeah,
this
I was gonna say
scene
they
so
did
many
reuse that
times.
shot exactly in Generations.
Yeah,
Dude,
when I
they-
saw Generations, I'm like, how cheap.
They used
Give
it
me a
on
break.
Next Gen like 4 times.
I don't know about that. No,
Back and to the
but-
left.
Yeah, they did.
I don't think so. But, see, yes, why are all
Look
these
it
people
up.
here?
Why didn't anybody notice them beaming in?
Well, I think they did. I mean, right? I mean, it's kind of like chaos as soon as they got there.
Well, not till they started running through the crowd.
See, here's the thing: you can't get to the stage at a concert. What kind of crappy security do they have here?
Yeah, a guy who was basically just accused of killing the Klingon Chancellor shows up and starts running towards the President of the Federation, and no one tries to stop him.
Because that's how certain they were that these talks were at a secret location that no one would know. That 200 people were in attendance of. Okay, now here's the
I
thing.
love that they even have to say the guy's name because it's like I was like, who was that?
Yeah, I think you are a
Wait,
bit
look,
ahead of
his
us.
blood is red there.
Oh,
Hold
so
on.
Wait.
Okay, hold on.
Well,
We're-
it's supposed to be right because he's human.
So
No,
you,
I know that, but they could have gotten. I just realized that they should have been able to put something in his blood to just throw him off just a little bit.
Well, they
They
weren't
made
counting on.
reference to that in
They weren't counting
book
on him
about
getting killed.
Enterprise.
hold on.
Whoa.
So John, you're
Scooby-Doo ending.
Yeah.
you're seeing the dude.
Hey,
Get-
I never noticed that Worf was back in this scene.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I know he was human underneath there, but I don't know. Something tells me they could have diluted his blood a little bit.
Well, you think they should have said, put Pepto-Bismol in your pockets just in case you get killed.
No, it's like a like a security measure, like
In case they check his blood at the door.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, did they know about
Heartburn, nausea,
comaloids or
upset
something?
stomach, diarrhea, and assassination.
That's good. That's good.
She's got a lot of eyeshadow on.
Something about the Chancellor just reminds me of Bab Morta from Willow. I don't know why. I get that vibe.
I recently
Have
watched
Morta
Willow.
from Willow. That's that takes us way off topic.
I really want to like Willow. What's with those guys? Why is that one guy clapping weird and the other one's clapping okay?
They're aliens.
And what?
But
why?
like one knows how to clap and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, if they were both
Dude, look at
clapping
these
like
guys.
that, it would
That's
make
awesome.
sense.
Why,
It's
why-
frickin'
Why
weird.
do Scotty and Sulu come up here and pose and stuff? Why do they? What's going on right now? Why is this in this movie?
Dude, this is the problem.
Because
When,
it's Star
when people
Trek.
are clapping, you just gotta.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, why was the rest of the crew not standing with them? They were off to the side.
Yeah. That would make a good poster, those two ships there.
Yeah.
I agree. In fact, I want to make that my screensaver.
Oh, that wouldn't be bad. Yeah, that's good. Or a desktop background.
Control Shift print screen. Paste into Photoshop.
Control Shift print screen. Yeah.
So there's Sulu. I like the idea that Sulu goes on.
To have his own adventures.
Yeah.
You know, I like the fact that Janice Rand was assigned to his ship too. I like that bit of
That was a
continuity.
callback.
Yeah, that's one of those weird things that I didn't even notice until I was like 25 or something. I was like, wait a minute, she's from the. Oh my god, that's awesome, so cool. They referenced the show. Good for those guys.
So, no, forget.
I really wish they had brought back Shatner and Chekhov and Scotty for generations.
I really wish.
You really
I really
wish
wish
they
that they
would've?
hadn't brought any of them back except for Sulu.
I don't think anybody from this series should have been involved with the next gen movies. But if they were going to bring someone back, just go ahead and have Shatner come back.
Or Sulu.
You know?
No, just Sulu.
Just seemed unnecessary. Let the next gen movies stand on their own 2 feet.
Or Uhura could like be like a psychic that they go to have read their futures.
Well, we should have brought this up earlier at the beginning of the commentary, but this is actually supposed to be a different movie entirely. It's supposed to be like Star Trek Academy or something, and then this movie was supposed to actually open up with Uhura being like working like as a talk radio host or something.
No, that was.
That would have been awful.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
No, yeah.
The movie was supposed to open with everybody in their private lives or something.
Yeah, and then
That's
just bring
right.
it back together. Yeah.
That's right.
Gotta get the old gang back together for one last job.
Sounds like Ghostbusters 2, which was
Yeah,
around
pretty
this
much.
time, wasn't it?
It sounds like the Muppets.
Hey, you know what we shouldn't do is talk about Ghostbusters 2. Ah.
Hey guys, remember Ghostbusters 2?
Oh, no.
Slime.
Now, this shot would make an amazing poster.
You'd have to Photoshop in Sulu, though.
No, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, when I was a little kid, the first time I saw this movie and not knowing anything about Star Trek, I
they
took
got
this shot
vaporized.
very literally and was like, "Oh, so they're dead." Huh.
The ship went into the light.
They're like,
Jesus
Christ,
Christ,
our
man.
careers are over with. I guess we might as well just kill ourselves.
How old were you? Were you 4? Because that's really the only explanation for that ridiculous reasoning that you just explained.
Maybe
Oh.
I didn't see the first 15 minutes, so if I would have, then I would have explained everything.
You know what? I love the way they did these credits, too,
Yeah.
with the signatures.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit heavy-handed now, but I think it's really classy.
This
Yeah,
wasn't
I love
supposed
her.
to be like this. Meyer did not want this. He didn't know about it until after the movie was being cut together.
Oh, they snuck one.
Good, because
They've
Yeah.
done it. They've done
I
It was
like-
supposed
No.
to end with the crew signing the crew log, but Nimoy wanted to get them all to actually sign it themselves.
I really love DeForest
rock,
Kelly's
bro.
signature. It's so Walt Disney, isn't it?
It is.
yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh man, do you think Leonard Nimoy charged this movie $80 for that signature?
I'm sure that every one of these people charged.
Do you think you just should have signed
Paramount
I am not
Pictures.
Spock instead of his name?
There's no question in my mind.
Well, for those of you still listening, the credits have just begun to roll.
Yeah, David Warner.
The best part
Hey.
about those about the
The Master Control
signatures
Program.
is that Walter Koenig's has the crappiest signature out of all of them. He's the Ringo.
Well, they did give him a haircut, kind of like one of the monkeys.
Oh no, this
A wig, like one of the monkeys.
no,
Yeah.
he's been treated very poorly over the years, and I'm just following in that grand tradition. He's a good man. I
Oh,
like the
it's
guy.
so
Sorry for
terrible.
anybody who has those things put in their ears. So,
What about
that
that?
was-
Have you guys seen the thing, the little press conference that's on the Star Trek
Oh
5?
Christ on a cracker! That
If
is
you
the
want-
most embarrassing moment for everyone in the world.
If you want to just feel really bad about yourself and the state of the world,
And especially Walter Koenig. Especially him personally,
I love
as a
that
man.
Shatner has his own makeup artist.
oh yeah, watch the Star Trek 5 press conference video, which is on the Star Trek 5 DVD. It is quite something to
You know what?
behold.
Okay, I just want to point something out here.
We should
All
do
right,
commentary on that.
we can talk about Star Trek,
Next
and different
episode
people
of
can
commentary
hate
tracks to our
things.
babies. What?
I'm just pointing out something that I really like. I find refreshing about this. People can hate Star Trek movies, and nobody who loves that movie has like a real fundamental problem with it. Whereas, like with Star Wars, like people get like religious. They get fanatical. I hate Star Wars so much. It's like a disorder because of what George Lucas did with the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
It's very like Stockholm syndrome to me.
Well, probably a lot of that.
I love Star Wars and I like the prequels, but you know what?
You're still in the syndrome, bro.
No, I can tell you why that is a thing and it's not a thing with Star Trek. Because Star Wars, we had just those 3 movies way back in the late 70s, early 80s. And then for like a decade or more, we had nothing. And then it's like, yay, more Star Wars. And then, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
But Star Trek has always been consistent. It has been on our big screens and on our televisions in one form or another throughout the years consistently.
Yeah, but I mean, like there's no question. But like right from the series, like it started with, you know, within like 4 weeks there were good episodes and bad episodes. And like then like as by season 3 they were already like retconning things out of existence. So like it has a built-in ability to sort of.
Well, by episode 2,
that's true technically. Yeah, it's like the Constitution. It's got amendments in it. So it's better than Star Wars, which is literally like written in stone.
Also, Star Trek
and then peed on.
Star Trek is different things to different people, which I guess we're getting into now with the younger generation. But you know, if
oh, by the way, I hate those whippersnappers.
Only the original series. There are people who have seen only Next Generation, and someone can be like, I'm a Star Trek fan, and someone else could say, me too, and they could like literally never have seen
like
the same
different versions
or
of
even,
Star Trek,
even seen the same versions of Star Trek.
Well, I mean, we have that now with so many things. I mean, there are people who say that they love Transformers,
and they're talking about the Michael Bay,
and don't know that there are other Transformers.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's a part of me that hates that, and wants them to all die, so we can start over.
So, genocide.
So that you can hate the new stuff all over again.
I want to initiate a pogrom against everyone slightly younger than me.
So now that we're nearing the end of this thing, anyone have any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's wonderful to watch this movie again, and this puts me in the mood to watch 2, 3, and 4 tomorrow.
Oh,
that's cool.
You only need to do like a third of that, bro. You only need to do like a third of all that.
But
hey,
we're not,
I like
we're not
Star
talking
Trek
about
3.
need. We're talking about want.
So, what about you, John?
It still holds up. It's a solid whodunit.
Yeah.
With the Star Trek cast.
All right.
So
amazing.
It's all good.
Mike?
Yeah, I have now watched this movie 3 times in the last 2 days.
That's awesome.
And as I'm still watching this movie, and as we're talking, there are parts where a small part of my mind is going, "Will you guys shut the fuck up? I'm trying to watch this movie." Because I'm actually even though
told you why you're here.
But it's like, even though just earlier today I saw it again just to kind of prepare for it. And I'm still watching scenes now and kind of even just blanking out what you guys are saying. And I've got the subtitles on so that I can follow along. And I'm actually just like reading the subtitles and hearing the dialogue in my head. And even, not just because I saw it today, when I watched it before, every line of dialogue is still there. I mean, this movie is just amazing.
It's like a great album. It's so it's like part of your history. Like when it's playing, you want to hear it, you want to experience it. I totally know what you're saying, but like that's why I like you've got to fight through it, or you'll just be watching it.
Yeah. What about you, Josh?
Well, I agree. It definitely still holds up. Probably was one of my favorite Star Trek films for the longest time. I think now it's Star Trek 3. No matter what Max thinks. I don't care. I love that film. But Star Trek 6 I think it's a very solid entry into the series. And I'm glad we were able to all come together and give it a commentary.
Yeah. Thanks for organizing this, and
hey, thanks for inviting me. This was fun.
I don't think I really did.
Oh yeah, I had a blast.
I tried.
Next, yeah, we should ruin another movie like this.
Let's ruin Star Trek Generations together. Or is it Insurrection? I can't remember.
I'm not watching
Insurrection
that again.
sucks ass. I'd be more
I'm
than
not
happy
watching
to
that
rip
again.
that apart on a commentary track.
Haven't we already raped Insurrection?
yeah,
I'm not
we
sure.
did that, and so did Josh. Actually.
Oh yeah. Well,
we've still got 4,
So
5.
we could re-destroy it.
1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5 are the ones that we have.
yeah. I officially, I think I'm gonna submit Commentary Gangbang as the name of this posse.
Maybe we should all get together then for The Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones.
Oh, we've done those too.
I'm not watching Phantom Menace again.
I'm with.
Well, I'll do Attack of the
I mean,
Clones with you.
I'll
even
do
in
a
3D?
commentary on it. Oh,
I think you're missing a key ingredient.
Here's
is
the
that
thing.
The commentary we just did was for a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. If we did a commentary for a bad movie, it might become all swears.
So
Yeah.
wait a minute. Wait, none of you guys are going to go see Phantom Menace in 3D in
Oh,
February?
I'm totally going to see it.
I
Jesus
can't.
Christ.
Day
know.
one, I will be there.
So no.
You guys, it's good. Okay, I'm not going anywhere that I don't have to go. It's going to be February in Chicago. I'm not going outside
Oh, man, I'm going to be there day one. You
at
know?
all.
I'll
I'm gonna.
be there. Opening night, I'll be there.
Oh yeah,
Jeez, what happened last February?
it was a blizzard and
Yeah.
you couldn't leave your house. But I will. Leave
I left
the
my house.
I
It was
will-
the best day too, because
Okay.
it was impossible to go anywhere.
I
I remember seeing those pictures. That was crazy.
It was
It was.
beautiful.
And
It
then
was a beautiful day.
here's Max. I'm sorry. Okay, at the time, I called him and I'm like, okay, you don't need to go to work today. And he's like, what? Why not? And I'm like, have you looked outside your window? And you're like, no. He had no idea what was
Dude,
going on outside.
I
How
was
did that happen?
asleep.
You were not asleep. It started
Yes,
at
I
like
was.
6 o'clock. Anyway, let's move on.
I-
Star Trek 6. The
Mike still
Undiscovered
is still
Country.
mystified by the idea that I
Happy-
can be busy.
Okay, happy birthday, Star Trek 6. It's almost old enough to drink.
Oh, is it after midnight?
No, well, I don't know.
It
is
is
for me.
here on the East Coast.
Well, not for me, it isn't.
So,
Oh, well, then I guess it's not for us because I think we're in the same time zone.
but yeah, thanks everyone for joining us, and yeah, we will have to do this again sometime. And thanks for
Yeah.
Melinda on Zarban for recommending this. Hopefully, we've lived up to your standards.
Yeah, we didn't.
No, but we tried.
Just putting it out there, we didn't. But we'll get
Something
there.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get there.
yeah.
We're gonna get better. Or die.
All right. Well, yeah. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything, but if so, now's the time. Otherwise,
Live long and prosper.
all right.
Oh, this is
Thanks
Josh
for
signing
listening.
off. Thanks for listening.
Be excellent to each other.
And party on!
Station!